What does that mean? It means pay in 5 days or you're on the street. I called Clementine, not knowing what to do, and without a second thought, she sent me the money to make my rent. I paid it, and after I paid it, my lease renewal that was offered to me was rescinded. And I was told that if I kept paying, that I might get a lease offer again. It never came. 2 months after that, in November, Amy has to call me and tell me that the owners have decided to evict me. I was paying rent because of a demanded payment of now and not in a month. I would have to call the final few people remaining in my life in complete panic to help me cover ends. It wasn't their responsibility, but they did it because that's what you do for people. Instead of making a strategy, taking my time, I would have to panic sell every valuable asset I'd collected over the years. And it didn't occur to me that they might be acting within bad faith. You assume that these people are acting within the law. I didn't think I had any protections, and it turns out there were protections, but I was never made aware, and I was dragged out to pay until those protections ended, where I was told I was going to be evicted. What happens to a person when you put them on the street and they have nowhere to go? I know what happens to people. I know what happened to my mother when her benefits were cut and she knew she was not going to have rent. And we'd been homeless before. And now that her youngest was 17 and I was 23, I never blamed her. So now I sit here reflecting on everything that I've overcome to get to this point in my life. I'm 33 years old. I have worked every second of the day to get to where I am today. In one moment of bad luck, illness, and weakness was enough to negate these past 33 years of brutal, hard labor to even have a chance to making it. I didn't think I was going to tell this story. I stayed silent all my life as I've watched the people around me die. Not through bad choices, but through just circumstantial bad luck. My father was 33 when he committed suicide, leaving my 23-year-old mother with a 2-year-old son, having no idea what she was going to do. But she made it work. She stayed in college, she got her degree, and she became a respiratory therapist. She had a lot of love. And one day she was giving CPR on a patient, and she slipped a disc in her back. Since this was the late 90s, our medical system wasn't too kind with people in pain. They were sold lies. They were sold miracle pills. People who just wanted to not be in pain were ended there. My mom never blamed anyone. When she met her second husband, he would move her down to Lake Arrowhead, California. They would have a second child, my sister. And shortly after that, she would get injured, her second husband would leave, and we would be homeless. I was 10 years old, and we were sleeping in a bad place. And I had gotten very sick, scarlet fever. But I survived, and had it not been for my mother's brother coming down with a U-Haul from Sacramento to move us up to Redding, California, it would have been a very different story for us. He would end up being the guardian angel behind the family. He would pay and make up for what money she didn't have that month. When her disability was cut, he would have to be there because of the kids. We weren't his kids. That's what you do when someone needs help. But right now, I don't know what to do. I'm angry. I'm hurt. And part of me feels that this isn't legal. That there's laws against retaliation. Because if I'm offered a lease extension, and then I get sick, and that lease extension is pulled, Is that not retaliation? If there are certain protections for tenants during a pandemic, and I get notice after notice placed on my door to pay or get out, is that not harassment? Because I honestly don't know. But one of my neighbors does. And just out of the blue, he contacted me to ask if anything didn't feel right was going on. And I told him my story. And he said that it's abhorrently evil to treat someone like this. And it is. You don't do this to people. And I was just going to sit here and let it happen. Because that's all I've seen happen. I've seen time and time again people, good people, forgotten and left to die when they're of no use to a system. And here I am, the age my father committed suicide, 10 years after my mom's suicide. And I understand them, and I love them, and they didn't deserve it. We cannot keep treating people like this. All my life I've kept quiet, out of fear, dealing with trauma, processing what's going on around me, and just knowing if I keep quiet and work hard, it'll be okay. But that's not the case. After I received my 30-day to vacate notice, on that 30th day, I left to get cat food. My cat is sick. When I came back to use my door code, it was inactive. It was 11 p.m. at night, and I was locked out of my home. Had it not been for my neighbor, when I frantically pounded on the door, I would have been stuck outside, just tossed out like trash, while the few things in my life that I love that care about me were depending on me. This doesn't feel right. This isn't right. And all I can do is speak up. I can't leave my home out of fear of being locked out. I can't get groceries. It's like being smoked out. On Christmas Eve, I received a call from a friend. Her boyfriend had just been arrested, and she was sleeping in a laundromat. I told her to come over, because she had just had a child, and she was frantically trying to get her child back. And a couple days later, she found a rehab. I was so proud of her. I hope she's doing well. But this is what you do when people are hurting. You be there for them. You come together as a community. Instead of laying down and accepting this, I'm going to fight this. If there's anything illegal or shady that's going on, I will fight it. Because I had not come this far. I had not come this far to die. I'm expecting any day now there'd be a notice put on my door of a sheriff's eviction, which hasn't been done yet. There's not been formal eviction papers filed, yet I'm being actively locked out of my home, afraid to leave. If I say nothing, it's just gonna happen, and I'll have to accept my fate. But I'm not doing that. I've come too far to accept that. And I know if I go to each of my neighbors and I tell them what's going on, even if they don't know me, I know I could have one person at each door to make sure I get in with food for my cats and myself without fear of retaliation. When you see someone hurting, you help them. I've always had a way with creating with my mind. I wouldn't learn until 26 years old that I had autism. But, when you learn these things, the pieces start falling into place. Communication has always been difficult for me. To sit down now and record this, has been the most difficult thing I've had to do in my entire life. It seems ridiculous. But speaking up is sometimes the hardest thing you can do. And I know if I don't, this will keep happening. And I know if I don't, I'm going to be put on the street in a matter of days. And all my possessions will be gone. I built a workshop here. Place the Vault. It's advertised as a creative live-in workspace. A place that's good for the community. But this isn't good for the community. How can you claim to care about a community and just treat people like trash the second it becomes inconvenient? You can't do that. I'm going to fight this legally. I don't know how to fight this legally, but I'm going to. Because if there's anything that has been done shady or wrong or illegal, someone is going to pay for it. And I'm not going to pay it through with my life. But if you throw someone on the street when they have no vehicle and they're at their lowest and they have nowhere to go, you're sending them a death sentence. And that's not okay. And this is happening all around the country, all around the world. So part of me just didn't want to say anything because why would I think I'm special? I'm not. I'm not a special case. My story is not unique. And that makes it all the more heartbreaking. Rourke. In a press release, when you open this place, you use lots of beautiful keywords of creative and for the community and making it a better place. How are you making the community a better place? You can hide legally behind an LLC. You can put your partner's name on the eviction notices, and you can have an employee do the dirty work, and you can be the one, or you can be the muscle, I guess, that calls and harasses people. But you have to answer for the way you treat people. This is not okay. This is not okay. And I'm sending this message out to every person in my building, and I'm asking them to stand with me. I'm going to run out of food in a couple days. And I can't even leave without fear of being locked out. How fucked up is that? If there's any attorneys or lawyers that can help me, please reach out. There's a lot of money that goes into fighting things like this, and I'm gonna need help. It's not Clementine's responsibility. It's not my uncle's responsibility. We are responsible for each other. I'll be releasing more stories because I believe ideas I have can make the world a better place. I believe ideas I have can form a stronger community that can help support each other. And I know I am of no use to anyone if I'm dead. So that's why I choose to fight. And I know if anyone around me was having the same kind of problems, I would stand there and fight with them. And that's why I'm asking for your help. We need to take care of each other.